Hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar, 3DI, a fresh new look. My name is Jonas van Schoenstein, and next to me is our product owner, Leendert van Wolfswinkel.
Hi, good morning.
First of all, thank you all for attending. If you have any questions during the webinar, don't hesitate to ask them in the question panel. I will monitor the question panel during the webinar. If needed, I will already put the question to Leendert, or otherwise we will keep them for the last part of the webinar where we do a Q&A. If you have any issues with following the webinar or anything else, just don't hesitate to reach out. Leendert, when we start this webinar, it's of course called 3DI, a fresh new look. What were actually the main goals of with this development?
Yeah, what we release is basically a complete revamp of the Schematisation Editor, and we have been working on this for several months. I think we started on it last summer, just after the summer break. And the main goal was to improve the user experience. I think it greatly improved. It simplified the workflow. It really improved the consistency. A lot of the names that have changed are more consistent and also more self-explanatory. So this is really helpful, especially for new users. It's more what you see is what you get. And also, for example, in structure control and in a lot of other details, we really make things explicit, make it visible. And this really helps to, when you are working on a schematization, to find out if you made a mistake. You will see it immediately on your screen. And this makes schematizing much faster.
All right, thank you. We don't have a presentation with all the changes to show you. Leendert is going to demo everything directly. If you feel like this went sometimes maybe a bit too fast, don't worry. We are recording this webinar and we will send you a recording of the webinar later on. So you can just play it back and look at it again. So Leendert, I would say just the floor is yours. Just show it.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. Yeah, so let me start with the start of your workflow when loading a schematization. You will see that the toolbar for the 3DI Schematisation Editor has changed. It's become a bit more simple. Some buttons have disappeared. And some new buttons can be seen. So here we have the Load 3DI Schematization button, and next to it the Remove 3DI Schematization button, and then the Import Schematization Objects button that you are already familiar with. I will click the Load Schematization button. I will see the schematizations that are in my working directory. And I can double click the top one. And as you can see, it will immediately start loading these all the layers and all their styles. This is a little bit different from what you will see when you install the new plugins, because all your schematizations still need to be migrated to the new schema database schema version. I can also show that. So I have saved a copy of that schematization that was not yet migrated. So if I load that, you will first see a number of progress bars for each of the upgrades that goes in steps, and then it will load the schematization. So this running these upgrades of your schematization database, it happens only once, and then after that you can work with it without migrating it every time. Yeah. Well, as you can see, I have now loaded 2 schematizations. I can even load a third one. And that is useful, for example, if I want to compare the differences between 2 versions of a schematization, or if I want to copy some objects from one schematization to another, I can simply load both of them and work with them in the same Vue.js project. Well, now I see that I have 2 schematizations of Langa, and I want to remove one of them. I select this one and then click the remove button. Yeah, what I will do is to go by each of the layer groups that we have here and just go through the main changes. I will not go over every single detail. At the end of the webinar, I will go through the documentation to point out where you can find documentation on all the specific layers and all the specific attributes to see exactly what has changed. And I will start here at the bottom and work my way up. Yeah, so the rasters, the rasters themselves, they have not changed, but the way they are referenced has changed a little bit. So for example, if I have a look at the model settings, the digital elevation model is referenced just by specifying the file name, and 3DI assumes that they are always in, if this is your schematization, this is the Geopackage that stores it's your schematization database, and the rasters will be found in a folder called rasters. So it always has to have that name, and you don't have to include that path, that relative path in your reference anymore. Well, then the next group is the settings. Quite a bit has changed there. The main change is that the global settings table does no longer exist, and it has been split up in a table called model settings, which contains everything that is needed to generate a 3D model from your schematization, and then a number of other tables that contain settings that are for your simulation. So if you change anything in the model settings, you will have to regenerate your 3D model to see the effect. If you change anything in the physical settings, the simulation template settings, or the time step settings, this is not, you don't have to create a new 3D model. You can also change, for example, the output time step when you start your simulation. Then there is a very interesting new feature. It's called tags. Let me just open that table. Well, now it is empty. I can create a new tag. For example, I create a tag called source municipal database. So I create this tag, and once I import data that is sourced from the central database of the municipality that I work for, I can add this tag to that pipe or structure in my schematization. I will show that also when we get to those groups. Just checking if I don't forget anything. Yeah. Now let's move on to the next group, the hydrological processes. So what you find here is partly the same as before the Schematisation Editor 2.0. and partly there are some new tables that contain settings that used to be in the global settings. All the settings you find here pertain to specific hydrological processes or the initial conditions of your simulation. It's some of these settings are needed when creating a 3D model, and some of them are used only in the simulation template. In the 3D documentation, you can find exactly which tables are in which category, so that you know that if you want to do a lot of simulations with different settings, do I need to create a new 3D model all the time, or can I simply change the settings when starting a simulation? Well, the attribute tables of these hydrological processes have also been improved. So, for example, the groundwater, the grouping is a bit more straightforward. So it also explains a little bit better what these settings have to do with one another, and all of them have nice units. So you don't have to go to the documentation to know my hydraulic connectivity. Is it in millimeters per day or in meters per day or anything else? It will tell you already in the attribute form. Then we get to the 2D group. Let me just zoom to our model. So the 2D boundary conditions, in this demo model, you will see several of them at the edges. There have been some useful additions. So if I look at the properties of 2D boundary condition, make it editable. Of course, I can set the boundary type, but also I can specifically set the time units, so minutes, seconds, or hours. I can choose if it's if interpolation is applied between the different time steps, and there is a table to edit the time series. That makes it a bit clearer what you are supposed to fill in. And this, again, it's explicit, so you don't have to go to the documentation to know, is this in minutes or what are the units? And also, is it interpolated or not? You can set it yourself, and you can see it in this form. Then here at the bottom, you see the tag. So if I click here, I can choose a tag from my table of tags. Well, as you saw just now, I added only one tag, so I can add that one. And then once I've added it and save my changes, I can always see what is the source. So this is very useful if you want to combine data from different sources, or you import data from a specific source and then do manual edits. For each of the manual edits you do, you add this tag manually edited, or you use tools. Include adding tags in those tools, and you can follow the path that your data has gone. The obstacles. They have some new attributes as well. This is not an obstacle, this is channel. Yeah. So the new attributes of the obstacles are affects 2D, affects 1D, 2D open water, and affects 1D, 2D closed. The default is that if an obstacle intersects a 2D flow line, so a flow line between two 2D cells, it will set the exchange level between those two cells. Also, if there is a flow line from a node on a channel to a 2D cell, and it is intersected by an obstacle, it will also be affected. And if there is a flow line from the sewage system to the 2D cell, it will not be affected. This was the behavior also before this was introduced. Now you can see what happens, and you can also change how this works. So makes it much more explicit and configurable. Yeah, then we move on to the 1D, 2D group. Only one small change here. So the potential breaches. There used to be a maximum breach depth in, and that was measured in meters below the crest level or the exchange level of that breach. This turned out to be pretty unpractical when filling that in. So we have changed this to a level that is relative to mean sea level, and also change the naming. So you have an initial exchange level when the breach is not active, and then when the breach becomes active, it will start growing downward until it reaches the final exchange level, and then it will grow in the sideways. Other properties are the same as what they were before. Then we get to the 1D group. Again, the 1D boundary conditions. Let me add one. Just like the 2D boundary conditions, we have time units. We have an option to interpolate. We have a time series widgets to fill in the time series. And the rest is still the same. Well, a very important change is that the manhole table no longer exists. So to add a manhole to your sewage system, you don't have to add them separately. You simply create a connection node and change the visualization type. So if I look at the properties of my connection node and scroll to the bottom, here I have some administrative properties. So these are properties that are not used in the simulation by the 3D computational core, but they are useful for other purposes. So we have a visualization. I can say I want to visualize it as a manhole, or I want to visualize it as an outlet, pump chamber, maybe an infiltration manhole, or a gully, or maybe something else. If there are other types of nodes or structures, point structures that you would like to include in this list, please let us know. It's not very difficult to add those. Let me see. Yeah, and the manholes, they used to contain quite a few properties that were not used in the simulation at all. For example, the shape of the manhole and the width and the length. And this was confusing because it really, well, if you have an object in your schematization and it has these dimensions, it really sounds like, oh, if I change these dimensions, that will affect my simulation. And then, well, it was confusing for some users that this did not have that effect. So we removed most of those. And one exception is the surface level that is used for several purposes. So you can still fill in the manhole surface level, but by changing a little bit the layout of this attribute form, we make it more clear that this is purely administrative. Yeah, it's not used in the simulation. Let me see. Yeah, I think another change that you see here is the calculation type. That term has been changed to exchange type, and that is also in all the other layers where there is a drain level or that has been changed to exchange level. So to make it more clear that this is all it all pertains to the exchange. All right. Then let's go to the bottom of this group. So here we have a completely new table called material. And what you see here is a list of predefined materials with their friction type and friction coefficient. You can add more materials if you want, or change the properties of these materials. And then if you go to, for example, the pipe, you will see that in the friction category, you can select a material, switch to brickwork, for example, and then the friction type and friction value is taken from that material table, or move to plastic. And that makes it a bit easier to remember. If my pipe is made of concrete, I don't have to remember which friction value to fill in. I can just select it from that list. The last change in this category is the pumps, or pump stations, as they used to be called. There are now two different tables. One is the pump and the other is the pump map. The pump contains all the characteristics of the pump itself. So I can add it here, fill in the start level, the stop level, capacity, etc. And if I leave it just like this, it will pump water out of the model. If I want the pump to pump water to another connection node within the model, then I add a pump map. For example, to here. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but and then you see here the characteristics of the pump map. So it has an ID, it has a display name, it has a code. Then you will see the characteristics of the pump, also ID, code, and display name. But these are the characteristics of the pump that I added just now. And then importantly, you see the ID of the connection node that it pumps towards. This is filled in automatically because I clicked on this connection node, so you don't have to worry about it. And now you see that it will pump from one place in the model to the other. All right. Yeah, and then there is one more change to the pipes. If you import pipes with multiple vertices, so it's not a straight line, but it is has some curves. This will this will not disappear. This will so it will actually be like that in the model. We still have to make some changes to the user interface, because now if I click like this, it will still split up the pipe in multiple segments. But we in the coming few weeks we will make some changes so that this pipe will actually be one pipe with a curved geometry. Yeah, then we get to the structure control group. That has changed significantly. I think for those familiar with structure control in 3DI, Most users experienced it as very difficult to schematize, and one reason for that is that the tables, none of them had a geometry, so you had to fill in a lot of properties, but you could not really see how this related to the objects on your in your schematization. I will give a very quick demo of how you can add structure control and also explain what it is while clicking. I think in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, we have a webinar specifically.
It's planned in May, top of my head. We will send it when we are sending out the recording.
Okay, so if you're interested in using structure control and my explanation in this webinar is a bit too quick, please sign up for the structure control webinar that will be announced soon. Okay, so structure control. Let's move a little bit to the open water system. So here we have a river that, if I remember correctly, flows from this bottom corner to the top. And here we have some orifices that we might want to use to control the flow based on the water level at the upstream side. So let's, okay. Maybe this is a nice place. So let's say we want to measure the water level here. So we put a measure location there. We set the measure variable to water level. Connection ID is automatic. Okay. And then we want the discharge coefficient of this structure to react to the water level at this location. So we have a table control. We add it to, okay, something is going a little bit wrong. Okay, so this is orifice with ID 7. Need to remember that. It should work automatically. I don't know why it's not like that, but so we add the table control to that orifice. We say, okay, the target is an orifice and its ID is 7. What do we want to happen? Well, we want to change the discharge coefficients when the water level becomes smaller than a certain amount. So I don't really know the water levels in this location, but let's say it's 23.5. Well, if the water level falls below this value, again. Then I want the apparently I set my I have some settings that I think I should use a comma as a decimal sign. I don't know why that is. So if the water level falls below 23.5, then the orifice will close. Okay. And now the last step, or the third step, is to connect this measure location to this table control. So from there to there. So as you can see, it has recognized I connected it to a table control with ID 1. I fill in the weight, it should be 1. And then I'm almost done. The only thing I still have to do is to change the settings. So in my simulation template settings, I say I want to use structure control, and we're done. So this has 2 advantages. It's super easy. In a few steps, you have added structure control to your schematization. And the other advantage is that if you are going to work with a model that you're not familiar with, you load in the schematization into the modeler interface, and immediately you will see these symbols so that you know, okay, there's structure control. So if I see something happen in my results, then I know why that is. By the way, also relatively recently, we have introduced a feature to see how, for example, in this case, the discharge coefficients change over time. So if you, in your results, you click on that orifice, you can also see when did those discharge coefficients switch to 0, or when was this orifice closed. All right. Then we go to the last group at the top, laterals and 0D inflow. So all the layers that you see here are used in the simulation as some type of lateral. There are 3 different groups here. So there are laterals for the 1D and the 2D domain. Then there is dry weather flow, which is in the computational core. It's also a type of lateral, but the difference with generic laterals is that they will have a fixed time series over a 24-hour period. And then there is the surface, which you may be familiar with as surfaces or impervious surfaces, which scale the lateral discharge with the area, the surface area of the polygon. Well, I think that for the 1D and 2D laterals, nothing much changed except for the things that I explained for the boundary conditions. So if I add a 1D lateral, again, you can see you can set the time units. You can also set the units. Well, there's only one option, but it helps you to see what it is. You can switch between interpolation or non-interpolated time series, and you can fill in the time series in this widget. Then to demonstrate the dry weather flow, I will go to the other schematization. Let me. This is somewhere in Canada, so I changed the projection. Yeah, as you can see here, we have surfaces mapped to this stormwater system, and they are not in a category that is part of the Dutch system for inflow. So they are in the other category. I click one of those surfaces. You can see it just has an area and it has surface parameters, and I can choose which type of parameters I want. These are predefined settings that are from a Dutch system for schematizing inflow, but you can also add your own parameters. So if we go to the surface parameters table, you can see that I created a surface parameters set that does not have a description, which is not super helpful. So let me just add that. Custom surface parameters, and these surface parameters, they govern the hydrological process that takes place in the surface. So the storage, the outflow delay, infiltration process, etc. Yeah. If I click the surface again, now you can see this has the custom surface parameters. You may also have noticed that this surface does not contain anything related to dry weather flow. That has been separated to a new set of layers. So if I want to add dry weather flow, I draw a polygon. It's not a very nice polygon. And then I say, okay, how much, what is the daily dry weather flow production per person here? Well, I don't know. What would that be in Canada? Probably a bit more than in the Netherlands. Let's say 250. Then, yeah, I can also add a multiplier. So I think the most common way to use this would be your dry weather flow production per person. And then maybe this household has 5 dry weather flow production units, and then I can select how this total amount of dry weather flow production is distributed over a 24-hour period, and I can switch between interpolation or non-interpolation. In this case, again, I used a default value that is used in the Netherlands for the distribution over 24 hours. But if I go to the dry weather flow distribution table, I can see what this distribution is. So in this case, the first value would be from midnight to 1 hour past midnight, and then you go down until you get to 24 hours, and it has some peaks in the morning and in the evening. I can also create a new custom
industry.
Yeah, or for example, for another profile for industry, and I can define how this distribution takes place over 24 hours. Any way I want. I just have to make sure that all values in this column add up to 100%. Okay.
Is there a maximum on the number of?
Is there a maximum on the number of distributions?
Yes.
No, you can add many of them, but I think in most cases you would have maybe 1 or 2 distributions for households, and maybe 1 for industry, and maybe a couple for specific companies. So I think usually having more than 10 different distributions would not be very common, but if you want to use 10,000 different ones, you can go ahead. Yes, I think that were all the layers. Let me check my notes. Yeah. So there are also some general changes that apply to all layers. You are probably already familiar with the predefined style. So for the connection nodes, for example, if I go to styles, I can style, for example, on ID, and it will show a label with the ID of that connection node. You will find in the new Schematisation Editor that there are much more predefined styles than there were before, and there are also it's more consistent. So in the previous version, the connection node layer would have a styling for ID, but the pipe layer would not have that style. Now we have just created a number of default styles that all layers have. So we have ID, display name, the code, and then some specific styles that are specifically interesting for that layer. And then there is also a well, for the pipe layer, for example, I can show the drawing direction. So here is a pipe that goes from node 211 to 209. Well, for some reason, what may happen is that you import the same data twice, or you, for any other reason, there are duplicate geometries, and it's sometimes a bit difficult to find out that there are duplicates, but not with the new schematization editor, because if I create a new pipe here, it will indicate automatically there is a duplicate geometry here. And if I create another one, it will even say that there are 3 same geometries in this location. So if you see any of these labels, yeah, it may be the case that you actually want to do this, but most probably there is something wrong. And yeah, the best approach is to use the identify tool, right click, and then you can see here, okay, so the pipe has 3 features at this location. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to show in the demo, and I also have some slides left. Let me see. Yeah, so in the demo, I really focused on everything that when you use the schematization editor, you will find out.
You're sharing the wrong screen, that doesn't matter. Continue.
Okay. Now you got me out of my concentration.
Oh,
I focused on what you will actually see when you are modeling and using the 3D modeler interface. But a lot of the work we did in the last few months was actually under the hood. I'm not going into details with regard to that, but some important things to note are that we are no longer using SQLite files, so files that have a SQLite extension. Instead, we now use Geopackage. This is actually also the reason that you don't have to import your data into a new format and then load from SQLite, save to SQLite, etc. If you make edits and you save your edits in the native QGIS workflow, then you can immediately upload those edits, or you can immediately use the schematization checker to check if what you did is correct. And also what the schematization checker gives you in terms of warnings and errors will actually have the same layer names as what you are editing. So yeah, in the situation before us, for example, you would get an error on your cross-section definition table, and then you would open it in the modeler interface, and then you would find that in your layers there was no cross-section definition table, and it was very difficult to find out where the error was. So this is no longer the case. Makes it much easier. Another big change is that we are now using a projected coordinate reference system. So, for example, if you are based in the Netherlands, doing projects in the Netherlands, most of your GIS data will have a projection Rijksdriehoekstelsel or EPSG 28992. And this is actually also what 3DI uses directly. So there's no conversion from what you see in your 3DI modeler interface to what the computational core uses. It's really one-on-one. What we did before is we converted it to latitude, longitude coordinates, and then converted it back again. And then sometimes for some projections that would cause really hard to solve issues. So that is no longer the case. If you want to know all the specifics, for example, if you make automated tools or you make scripts, or you just want to know exactly what I see some new attribute, a new name that I'm not familiar with, please go to the documentation and have a look at the migration guide. Yeah. So this will give you for in general what has changed for the text, the settings are more or less the same as what I demoed, but with a lot of detail. Well, if you want to use the new Schematisation Editor, please have a quick look at again at the documentation, at the install and update manual. And especially at this note, so always update all 3DI plugins at once. Also, if you have the Lizard plugin, also update that one, and then update the 3DI results analysis plugin last, and restart the modeler interface when you are prompted to do so. Also, if you run into an issue directly after updating, please try to restart it again. That might solve the issue. Yeah, and then some more background information. If you are in the 3DI documentation here in the technical reference, there is a chapter on schematization objects. And there you can find for each individual layer, for example, for the pump map, what does this layer do? What kind of geometry does it have? What attributes does it have? Which ones are mandatory? Which ones are not? What are the units, etc., etc. Also some notes. So this documentation page contains all the background information that you would need. Thank you for your attention. Looking forward to the questions.
Let me turn on my webcam so people can see me talk. There are some questions coming in, Leonard, so I'd be happy to give them to you. First of all, a question regarding the projection that you just talked about in the end.
Yeah.
What does it mean for the external forcing of your boundary conditions if you turn on a computation in the modeler interface, a calculation in the modeler interface? Does it have any effect? Because I think it's because with 2D boundary conditions, it's very related to where you locate them, or where you place them.
Yeah.
I think that's what meant here.
Yeah, very good question. This is one of those issues that I refer to. So what some users experience is that, let me go to the other schematization. Yeah, so the 2D boundary conditions are these red dashed lines, and they have to be pretty precisely on the edge of your model. And what some users experienced is that you place them very correctly, also loading in your computational grid so you can see exactly that they are in the right place. And then you upload your schematization, it's converted to a 3D model, and then suddenly there is an error saying, hey, your 2D boundary condition is not located in the right place, even though in the modeler interface it works fine. Yeah, this is typically the kind of issue that is solved by schematizing in the same projection that is used in the entire 3DI pipeline after uploading.
Yeah, but if you don't have any issues right now, you will not have any issues after this migration.
No.
Right? So it will not affect basically the calculation. I hope that that answers the question. I have another one. That's an interesting one. I have a SQLite with both impervious surface and surface for 1D, 2D, and for 0D, 1D modeling, and I already have upgraded the model interface, so I cannot change or split the SQLite into versions anymore. How do I solve this? Maybe you can. I'm not sure if it's possible to show it, but
yeah. So okay. Yeah. So maybe to explain this a little bit, I think what this user the way that the surfaces and impervious surfaces are used is that you basically have two variants and put one of those variants, you schematize them as surfaces and the other as impervious surfaces, and you can switch between those by well, in the old database schema by changing the settings from using surfaces to using impervious surfaces, depending on how you want to which case you want to use. Well, this is no longer possible. I think the person who asked the question understands that. So you will have to make two different schematizations. The way to do that would be to download the other schematization, and then you would have to split it before with an older version of the 3D modeler interface. This is a very specific case, and we are happy to help out. So just reach out to the service desk, and we will. We will.
There's a follow-up question about it. Can I switch back to an already migrated schematization back to the old SQLite? Maybe it's a good. It's maybe also related to you said we are changing from SQLites to Geopackage. Maybe it's good to mention that all the SQLites that you currently have on the servers are going to stay there. We're not doing anything with it, right?
Yeah. So if you what you will download from the server is always exactly the same as what you uploaded. Once you open it in the modeler interface, it will be migrated to a new version.
Yeah. So, but maybe it's good to have a call later on, and we can show it if that's necessary. No, we'd be happy to help out.
Yeah.
The other question is also a question about styling. What if I have my own styling and I have to apply it all the time? Again, is it possible to include it in the modeler interface?
Okay.
By default.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. First of all, if you have your own styling, if you can save it as a QML file and apply it to any 3DI layer. So that is fine, but I think the question is, can I make it so that it is included in this list of default styles? Yeah, I think it would be great if users have configured a styling that they find useful. Please share, and we can see if it's also useful for other users and add it to this styling system. Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay. I have another one. After updating 3DI and migrating a model, it won't open anymore. Is this a known issue? I have no error message or anything with this, so.
Well, that definitely shouldn't happen. So yeah, please reach out to the service desk, and we'll help you fix the problem.
Yeah. So please include the error message that you have, screenshot, and send it to what's the email address? Servicedesk@nederschemels.
Yeah.
.nl.
Yeah.
So please send it, and we'll help you with this issue. I think there are no other questions. Oh, there's another question. Wait, I have to scroll down like this. Yeah. If I have a really old SQLite version, say 2.16, well, this is very specific, will it migrate to? I have no idea how old 2.16 is. Do you know?
2.16 is not that old. Yeah, it will migrate. Yeah.
So how far back would the migration roughly go?
I think 167 or something.
Okay, so we're talking several years.
Yeah,
at least.
If it's older, if it is really old, and it will not migrate automatically. Again, please share your data with the service desk, and we can help you out.
All right. I think that's it. We're also nearing the end in time. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you, Leendert, for the demo of the new release, the fresh new look, as we call it. I hope you all enjoy the new way of editing in that sense. And well, again, if you have any questions about how does this work, and you need any guidance in that, don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's it. Thank you all for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.